What a privilege it is again to join Kaydian in speaking from her heart. God has blessed her so many times throughout the past weeks for pouring into us from her heart. And today is one such day that we will get another pouring from Kaydian under the topic New Start. Go right ahead, Kaydian.
Well, all right, so thank you, Sister Philip. All right, so today is an exciting topic. We'll be looking at new start, and it is an interesting topic, having experienced 2020 with all the new normalcy that we have experienced. Um, what about the other interesting thing about 2020 is the with this pandemic came the numerous deaths and the number of persons who have been afflicted with this COVID virus.
Yes.
And, the uncertainties for 2021, as much as persons want 2020 to end, we're still uncertain about what 2021 has in store for us.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that we have the vaccines coming in, but also we have to take into consideration the fact that COVID is actually mutating, the virus actually. So what can we do to maintain our health? What can we do to, if we do contract it, God forbid, it doesn't result in a death? What is it that we can do to sustain our health? Now, in order to basically delve in the presentation, we have to really look at what is health, and there are many definitions out there. WHO speaks about health as being a state of physical, mental, social well-being. Other literature has suggested spiritual well-being as well, and we find that all these different faculties, the physical, the mental, the social, the spiritual, they have to be in harmony with each other in order for us to maintain optimal health. There is an interesting study that I found which speaks about the concept of health, and it speaks of health as being on a continuum where we have at one extreme we have optimum health and persons functioning at their optimal or at their best, and at the other extreme we have illness, which is culminating into death. Today I want us to, as I go through the presentation, as you're prompted to reflect on our lives where we are at today, that we will look at ourselves or identify where on this continuum of health we are. Are we in a state of ill health, or are we experience optimal health where we are functioning at our best? Why is this discussion about health really important? It is important because God, as our creator, he wishes that above all that we prosper and be in good health, even as our soul prospers. And even Paul, in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19, also admonishes us that our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. So keeping in top shape and in optimal health is very important, even as Christians in our day-to-day walk. So today, my topic will be on new start. And when we think of the term new start, we think about starting over, beginning a new chapter. Or if you are aware of the term, you will know that it is an acronym for something. And today I'll be looking at that acronym. So new start is basically new being nutrition, E exercise, W water, S sunshine, T temperance, A air, R rest, and T trust in God. So to begin, we'll be looking at nutrition with RN, which is the first letter in new start. Now, there are so many different literatures that speak up. Well, there's a quote that is probably known by many of us where it says that let food be your medicine and medicine your food. Well, we're going to find out how important that is and what type of food it is that we should be actually consuming to make our food be our medicine. All right, so there are many philosophies out there that speak about nutrition and the benefits of nutrition, or right. But well, there are many literature out there that talks about the benefits of nutrition, and we know that there is one study that actually says that nutrition or proper nutrition is not in any way inferior to drug treatment. In fact, it can be more efficacious or efficient in stabilizing or even reversing a disorder. And we know, especially and this is even so relevant for our lifestyle conditions like our diabetes or high blood pressure, cancers, some inflammatory problems, etc. Just by modifying our lifestyle, changing our diet, etc., can actually improve our condition or prevent us from coming down, as we would say, or developing certain disease or illnesses. So just delving a little bit more in nutrition or good nutrition. Good nutrition is important in terms of sustaining or achieving a healthy weight. It also decreases some diseases, as I mentioned before, your diabetes, high blood pressure, arthritis, depression or anxiety, cancers, etc. Especially now with COVID and the need for improved immune system. Good nutrition also seeks to improve your immune, in that is your ability to fight infection or to ward off infection. Good nutrition also helps in your mental well-being. In fact, they say that, for example, foods such as bananas, right? Bananas, these are mood boosters. Other nutrients such as omega-3, fatty acids are also mood boosters. So these are some foods, just a small list of foods that we can include in our diet to help us along our journey to have optimal health. Now, how can we improve our nutrition? We can improve our nutrition by avoiding cholesterol and bad cholesterol. The ones that we need to avoid are the unsaturated, the trans fats. Those are not healthy for us. But the monosaccharides, the plant-based ones, these are actually good cholesterols that basically help to regulate our overall cholesterol. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of your high density lipoproteins, which is your good cholesterol, and your low density hyperprotein, which is your bad cholesterol. Having good sufficient amount of your HDL, which is the high density lipoprotein, helps to regulate or to control your bad cholesterol. So eating more like avocado and nuts and fish and using more coconut oil and olive oil instead of margarine will help to increase your good cholesterol and control your overall cholesterol level. Now, agents. So to avoid sugar in general, those naturally sweet foods, what they do, they spike your blood sugar really quickly. So you really, and they produce inflammation, as I said. So in general, our overall sugars are not really good. I know the Christmas has passed and we had our cakes and our sorry and all those sweet stuff, and it was lovely, but we cannot consume a lot of it. One off, it's not too bad, but every day we should try to manage the amount of sugar that we take in on a day-to-day basis. Foods that we should eat. we know other things, caffeine is not good. That really acts on our blood vessels and increase our heart rate. So, and it causes anxiety if you come off of it. So coffee is not really good. Alcohol also has its effects where, in terms of cancer, stomach problems, it has no calories, so it has nothing, it just takes away. So avoiding that as well. So, but in terms of foods that we take in, we need to take in more whole grains. Whole grains like your brown rice, your wheat bread, these things that are non-refined. These are better because they have healthy fiber, more nutrients and vitamins. They are antioxidants and they aid in digestion. However, there are some persons who cannot really tolerate wheat that well, for example, gluten, like the persons with celiac disease, and therefore more starchy foods like your pumpkins, your corn, and those things would be better, a better substitute for them. But for persons with special needs like those, a dietitian would be best better able to guide you as to what types of food you can eat for these in order for you to get the nutritional benefits from the food. All right, but other foods that we can consume like is fruits and your vegetables. These are just, they said the more colorful your fruits and vegetables are, the better they are. So, we should try and get as much, especially vegetables in our diet for those benefits. Diabetics, on the other hand, can't have so much fruits. They have to do it in servings, and they are limited to the amount that they can have. So, they have to adhere to their restrictions. But for the rest of us who don't have that restrictions, we can have our foods, we can have our vegetables, especially our vegetables. There is no limit to it. The other thing is protein. As much as there are persons who advocate the vegan diet where you don't eat meat at all, protein, and even though protein is not limited, and protein, I should say, is not limited to meat alone. You can get it from your beans and your peas and legumes. And just to add, you have to ensure that you have a mixed beans and peas together as a meal, because that's where you get your complete protein, right? Or your complex protein. So, but otherwise, protein is essential. We have to ensure that we get that in our diets, because it is not only the building, it not only aids in the building of muscles and the repairing of muscles, but protein has so many other functions in terms of transporting your nutrients and all these things to where they need to go. It keeps your fluid in your vessels. It is just so important, right? So to create normalcy in your body. So ensure you have enough protein in your diet. And the ideal is well, for us as Jamaicans especially, well, as Jamaicans we tend to have a lot of carbs, and and then we'll have a lot of meat and a little tubs of vegetable. But the ideal is basically for a plate, half of our plate should be vegetables, very colorful, and then the remaining half should be split between your protein and your starch. So that is what we should try to achieve when we think about nutrition. There are other things that were not mentioned, like your legumes and your nuts, and all these things should also be included in your diet. There is even when we are even seasoning our food, we need to take into consideration even how we season. Certain seasons having MSGs, so you need to avoid that. So that means you have to really pay attention to your labels. There is one source that says, when we have to use more of the natural herbs and spices. There is one source that actually says that if you use some basil, garlic, paprika, and cayenne, that can turn your ordinary chicken into something what they call gastronomical. So, just using the natural season, it decreases the amount of salt and all these other things that you would need to add to your food.